The rain hammered down like God's own judgment, turning the cracked sidewalks of Brooklyn into rivers of regret. I slammed the car door shut, my boots splashing through puddles that mirrored the neon haze of the city lights, and there he was, Nicholas, huddled under the awning of that godforsaken diner, his shoulders shaking not just from the cold but from the sobs ripping out of him like they were tearing his soul apart. "Tyler," he choked out, his voice barely a whisper over the downpour. "He's dead, he finally did it, and it's all because of me." I froze, the weight of those words hitting me harder than any punch I'd taken in the ring back in my boxing days. Nicholas's eyes, those storm-gray eyes I'd memorized in stolen glances over the years, locked onto mine, pleading for something I wasn't sure I could give anymore, not after the lies, the ghosts of 1998 still clawing at us both. But in that instant, with the mayor's shadow looming larger than ever from beyond the grave, I knew one truth. I'd walked away once, and it had cost us everything. This time, I'd burn the world down before letting him slip away again. The summer of 1998 in New York City was a beast. All sticky heat and the kind of humidity that made your shirt cling to your skin like a bad memory. I was 22, fresh out of a dead-end job at the docks, hauling crates that felt heavier than my dreams. Tyler McAllister, that was me, tall, Irish stock with fists that could crack walnuts and a heart that bruised easier than you'd think. I'd grown up in the shadow of the Verrazano Bridge, where the air smelled of salt and regret, and the only thing softer than the waves was the way my old man used to hum Sinatra when he thought no one was listening. That's when I first saw him. Nicholas Hale, the mayor's son. Yeah, that mayor Richard Hale, the silver-tongued bastard who'd clawed his way into City Hall on promises of cleaning up the streets while his own family rotted from the inside. Nicholas was 17 then, all sharp cheekbones and haunted eyes, the kind of beautiful that hit you like a sucker punch to the gut. He was standing outside St. Mary's Church in Bay Ridge, chain-smoking Marlboros like they were oxygen, his school tie loosened around his neck like a noose he couldn't quite tighten. I was cutting through the alley after a shift, my muscles aching from the load, when I heard the crash, tires screeching, a bottle shattering against brick. Some punks from the neighborhood had him cornered, the ringleader a meathead named Frankie with a switchblade glinting under the street lamp. "Freak," Frankie snarled, his buddies laughing like hyenas. "Daddy's boy thinks he can prance around like one of them fairies from the village?" Nicholas didn't flinch. He just straightened up, that defiant tilt to his chin that made my chest tighten even then, and spat back, "Better a fairy than a spineless prick who needs 4 friends to feel like a man." The words hung in the air, electric, and before I knew it, I was there, shoving Frankie back with a forearm that sent him stumbling into the dumpster. "Walk away, asshole," I growled, my voice low and steady, the way I'd learned from too many bar fights. They scattered like roaches when the light hit, but not before Frankie hissed, "You'll regret this, Doc Rat." Nicholas stared at me, his cigarette dangling from trembling lips, rain starting to mist the air like tears from the sky. "You didn't have to do that," he said, but there was no gratitude in it, just wariness, like he was used to saviors turning into monsters. "Yeah, I did," I replied, wiping a streak of blood from my knuckles where Frankie's tooth had grazed me. "Name's Tyler." "You, Nicholas." He flicked the butt away, grinding it under his heel. "And thanks. But don't make a habit of it. My father's got enough enemies without adding neighborhood heroes to the list." I laughed, a rough sound that surprised even me. "Hero? Nah. Just hate bullies." We stood there as the drizzle picked up, the city humming around us like it always did, sirens wailing in the distance, the low rumble of the subway underfoot. Something in his eyes pulled at me, a vulnerability wrapped in steel, and I felt it then, the hook sinking deep. "You need a ride home? Looks like the storm's about to break." He hesitated, glancing back at the church doors like they might swallow him whole. "Home's complicated. But yeah, let's go." That night, I drove him in my beat-up Chevy Impala, the wipers slapping rhythmically against the windshield as thunder rolled in from the harbor. He didn't say much at first, just directed me through the winding streets of Brooklyn Heights, past brownstones that screamed old money and secrets. When we pulled up to the Hale residence, a sprawling Victorian with iron gates that looked more like prison bars, he finally cracked open. "You know who my dad is?" "Everyone does. Mayor Hale. The man who promises the world and delivers headaches." Nicholas snorted, a bitter sound. "Yeah, well, he's delivering one tonight." Grounded me for embarrassing him at some fundraiser. Said I was too soft. The word hung heavy, laced with something unspoken that made my grip tighten on the wheel. "Soft ain't a bad thing," I said quietly, turning to face him. The dashboard lights cast shadows across his face, highlighting the bruise blooming on his jaw. "Frankie's work, no doubt. Means you've got a heart in there somewhere." His gaze flicked to mine, and for a second, the air in the car thickened, charged like the storm outside. "You don't know me, Tyler." "Not yet." I smiled, slow and easy, the kind that had gotten me out of more scraps than it should have. "But I'd like to." He got out then, rain sheeting down, but paused at the door. "Tomorrow? Same alley. After school." I nodded, heart pounding like I'd just gone 10 rounds. "Yeah. Tomorrow." What started as a chance encounter bloomed into something reckless, forbidden. We'd meet in that alley behind the church, sharing stolen smokes and stories under the fire escape's rusty shadow. Nicholas would talk about the pressure of being the mayor's golden boy, the photo ops, the whispers about his delicate nature, the way his father's campaign trail left no room for weakness. "He's running for re-election," he'd say, voice edged with exhaustion. "And I'm the liability he can't afford." I'd counter with tales from the docks, the old-timers spinning yarns about the war, the way the Hudson River carried away more dreams than cargo. "Life's too short for cages, Nick," I'd tell him, using the nickname that made his cheeks flush under the streetlights. And slowly, those meetings stretched, coffee at the corner diner, walks along the promenade where the Manhattan skyline glittered like a promise we couldn't touch. By August, the heat had cracked the pavement, and so had we. One night, after a Yankees game on the radio crackled to static in my car, Nicholas leaned over the console, his hand brushing mine. Tentative, electric. "Tyler, I think I'm..." He trailed off, eyes searching mine for permission. I didn't wait for the words. I kissed him, soft at first, then fierce, like I'd been starving for it. His lips tasted of salt and summer, and when he kissed back, it was with a hunger that matched my own. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together, the world narrowing to the space between us. "You're what?" I whispered, thumb tracing his jaw. "Gay," he breathed, the word a confession and a key. "And I think I'm falling for you." That night, under the stars smeared by city haze, we made promises neither of us could keep. But God, We tried. Fall came too fast, leaves turning the parks into fire, and with it, the cracks showed. Nicholas's father ramped up the campaign, parading him at events like a trophy. "Smile, son," Mayor Hale would bark through gritted teeth, his hand heavy on Nicholas's shoulder. I'd wait in the shadows, heart twisting as Nicholas forced grins for the cameras, his eyes finding mine across the crowd like a lifeline. One crisp October evening, after a rally in Prospect Park, he slipped away to meet me at our spot. But he was different, jittery, avoiding my touch. "Dad knows," he blurted, pacing the alley. "Not about us, but—" He found my journal. The one with everything. My stomach dropped. "What did he say?" Nicholas laughed. "Hollow. That it's a phase. That he'll send me to some camp upstate if I don't fix it. Military school, conversion therapy, whatever it takes to make me normal for the voters." Rage boiled up, hot and immediate. "Like hell he will. You're coming with me, Nick. We'll get out, head west, start over." He stopped, eyes wide. "You don't get it, Tyler. He's the mayor. He owns this city. And me, I'm just the son he wishes he could disown." I pulled him close, arms wrapping around him like armor. "Then let him try. I'm not going anywhere." But even as I said it, I felt the storm building, the one that would tear us apart. Winter hit like a freight train, snow blanketing Brooklyn in white lies. Nicholas pulled back, excuses piling up like drifts. "Dad's watching, too risky, just for now." Our meetings dwindled to hurried glances, text scribbled on napkins. I threw myself into work, pounding bags at the gym until my knuckles bled, but nothing dulled the ache. Then, the night that changed everything. Christmas Eve, 1998. The city glowed with lights, but the air was bitter cold. I was nursing a beer at O'Malley's, the dive bar where the old salts drowned their sorrows, when the door banged open. Nicholas stumbled in, coat dusted with snow, eyes wild and red-rimmed. "Tyler!" He spotted me, weaving through the crowd like a man possessed. "I did it," I told him. "Everything." The bar noise faded to a roar in my ears. "You what?" Faced him down at the dinner table. "I'm gay, Dad. And I love Tyler McAllister." His voice cracked on my name, pride and terror warring in his expression. I stood, chair scraping back. "Jesus, Nick. What happened?" He laughed. First. Then he threw the turkey knife. Missed. But he lifted his sleeve, revealing a gash along his arm, hastily bandaged. Said if I didn't end it, he'd make sure you never worked in this city again. Ruin your family, your name, everything. Fury blinded me. I grabbed my jacket. "We're leaving. Now." But as we stepped into the night, headlights pierced the flurry, a black Lincoln, idling like a predator. The window rolled down, and there was Mayor Hale, face carved from ice. "Get in the car, Nicholas. Or your little doc boy here learns what power really means." Nicholas froze, torn. "Tyler, go. Please." "No." I stepped forward, chin up. "You don't own him. Or me." Hale's smile was a blade. "Oh, but I do." He nodded to the shadows, and two suits emerged, campaign muscle, faces I'd seen on the news. They grabbed Nicholas, dragging him toward the car as he thrashed, screaming my name. I lunged, fist connecting with the first one's jaw, but the second tackled me into the snow. Punches rained down, boots in my ribs, knuckles splitting my lip. Through the haze, I saw Nicholas shoved into the back seat, his face pressed to the glass. Mouthing, "I'm sorry." The car peeled away, taillights fading into the storm. I lay there, blood mixing with snow, the city indifferent as ever. That was the last I saw of him for 27 years. The years after that night blurred into a grind of survival. I patched myself up with cheap whiskey and cheaper pride, telling myself it was for the best. Nicholas deserved better than a blue-collar brawler with calloused hands and a rap sheet longer than my arm. But every headline about Mayor Hale's re-election, every glossy photo of Nicholas at his side, all polished and distant, carved a little deeper. By spring '99, I'd shipped out to California, chasing waves and forgetting in the salt spray of Santa Cruz. Surfing by day, bartending by night, anything to drown the what-ifs. Word trickled back through the grapevine. Nicholas had been shipped off to that military academy upstate, straight as an arrow they tried to forge him into. No calls, no letters, just silence, thicker than fog rolling off the Pacific. I dated here and there, women mostly, because that's what you did to fit in, but it always soured quick, their touches feeling like echoes of what I'd lost. Men, fleeting hookups in dive bars, anonymous and aching, never touching the fire Nicholas had lit. By 2005, I'd clawed my way into something resembling stability, a gym owner in San Francisco, training fighters with the same brutal honesty I'd learned on the docks. The Castro's rainbow flags fluttered like taunts, a reminder of the life I could have had if I'd fought harder that Christmas Eve. But I didn't look back. Not until the call came in 2010, from an Old Bay Ridge buddy. "Ty, you hear? Hale's out. Cancer. And the kid, Nicholas, he's back in the city, running the family foundation or some shit. But word is, he's a ghost." I hung up, staring at the heavy bag until my fist screamed. A ghost. Fitting. I poured one out for the mayor that night. Not for the man, but for the boy he'd broken. Life kept punching, though. In 2015, I met Sarah, a sharp-tongued lawyer with laugh lines that made me feel human again. We married in a quiet ceremony by the bay, her in white linen, me in khakis that itched like guilt. She knew about Nicholas bits and pieces, confessed over late-night tequila, and she never pushed. "Love's not a zero-sum game. Ty," she'd say, her hand on mine. We adopted a kid, little Jamie, all freckles and questions, and for a stretch, it was enough. The American dream, wrapped in fog and forgiveness. But dreams crack. Sarah got the diagnosis in 22 pancreatic. Stage 4. She fought like hell, all 4 drips and wry jokes, but by summer 25, she was gone. Jamie, now 10, clung to me like I was the only anchor left. We scattered her ashes off the Golden Gate, the wind whipping them toward the horizon, and I whispered promises to the waves. I'd hold it together. For him. That's when the past decided it wasn't done with me. A month after the funeral, an envelope arrived at the gym, no return address, postmarked Brooklyn. Inside, a single photo, faded at the edges. Me and Nicholas, 1998, arms slung around each other on the promenade, skyline blazing behind us. Scribbled on the back in his handwriting. Found this in Dad's safe. Miss you more than words. And my knees buckled. I hadn't heard his voice in decades. But that script, it was him, elegant loops hiding the storm beneath. I traced the ink, heart hammering, and for the first time since Sarah's hand went cold, I let myself feel it all. The rage, the longing, the what the fuck now. I didn't call. Not yet. Instead, I booked tickets to New York. Left Jamie with my sister in Oakland. Business trip. Kiddo. Be back soon. The flight east was torture. Every mile unraveling the man I'd built. By the time I landed at JFK on a drizzly November morning in 2025, the city felt alien and intimate, like a lover who'd changed but still knew your scars. I rented a car, drove straight to the Hale Foundation offices in Midtown, a gleaming tower of glass and steel, all sharp edges and false transparency. The receptionist, a kid with blue hair and a nose ring, at my rumpled jacket. Appointment. Nicholas Hale, I said, voice rougher than I intended. Tell him Tyler McAllister's here. From Brooklyn. 1998. Her eyes widened fractionally. Recognition? Gossip? She buzzed him, and after a beat that stretched eternal, the elevator dinged open. And there he was. Nicholas. 44 now. Silver threading his temples. Lines etched around those gray eyes like maps of battles fought alone. He was broader, filled out in a tailored suit that screamed money and misery. But the tilt of his head, the way his lips parted in shock, it was him. My Nicholas. Tyler. My name was a breath. Prayer. He stepped forward, hand outstretched like we were strangers at a gala, but his fingers trembled when they met mine. Yeah, I managed, grip tightening involuntarily. Me. The office he led me to overlooked the Hudson, all chrome and leather, a far cry from alleyways and impalas. He poured scotch, top shelf, the good burn, and we sat across a desk that felt like a chasm. You look good, he said finally, swirling his glass. Voice deeper, steadier, but laced with that old vulnerability. Liar, I chuckled. Low. You, though. Time's been kind, he flushed, glancing away. Therapy helps. And distance from the old man. After the academy, I went to Yale Law, like he wanted. Then the foundation, cleaning up his messes. Divorced 5 years ago, the words tumbled out, filling the silence. Wife was great, but it was a cover. Always was. I nodded, the scotch warming the ache in my chest. Me too. Married 12 years. Lost her to cancer last month. Got a son. Jamie. 10. His eyes softened, grief mirroring mine. I'm sorry, Ty. For everything. Don't. I set the glass down, leaning forward. That night, Christmas 99. You chose him. I chose survival. His voice cracked. He threatened you, your family. Said he'd have you deported. Your ma's Irish papers weren't clean back then. I couldn't. The room spun. So you let me think you hated me? Ghosted like I was nothing. Tears welled. Unashamed. I wrote letters. Hundreds. Burned them all. Thought it'd keep you safe. Safe. I barked a laugh. Bitter. I spent years running from that, Nick. Building walls because the one guy who saw me broke me worst. He stood, rounding the desk, close enough I could smell his cologne, sandalwood and regret. I never stopped loving you. Not once. Our eyes locked, and the years dissolved. I rose, cupping his face, thumbs brushing those familiar cheekbones. The kiss was inevitable, slow, searing, a reclamation. His hands fisted in my shirt, pulling me closer, and for a moment, we were 22 again, invincible. But reality intruded. A knock at the door, his assistant's voice. Mr. Hale? Board meeting in 5. He pulled back, breathing ragged. Stay. Tonight. My place in the village. I nodded, heart a war drum. Yeah. Tonight. His apartment was a loft straight out of a magazine, exposed brick, bookshelves groaning under tomes on civil rights, a king bed visible through an open door. We ordered Thai, ate on the floor amid takeout boxes, trading stories like contraband. He spoke of the Academy's brutality, the cures that left scars deeper than skin. I shared Sarah's laugh, Jamie's obsession with dinosaurs. Laughter mingled with tears, the kind that cleanses. By midnight, we were tangled in sheets, bodies rediscovering paths long overgrown. His touch was reverent, mapping freckles and fades, whispering apologies into my skin. I should have fought, he murmured against my collarbone. Should-haves are bullshit, I replied, fingers in his hair. We're here now. Dawn crept in, painting us in gold. But as he slept, phone buzzing on the nightstand, I glimpsed the text, board emergency. Hale Sr.'s will contested. Meet at 8. The ghost stirred. Nicholas's father, even dead, wasn't done meddling. The morning after was all coffee and quiet confessions, sunlight slanting through the loft's tall windows like hesitant forgiveness. Nicholas moved around the kitchen in boxers and a faded Yale tea, brewing espresso with the precision of a man who'd learned to control chaos. I watched from the island stool, Jamie's latest drawing, a T-Rex in a tutu, clutched in my pocket like a talisman. Board meeting? I asked, nodding at his phone. He sighed, sliding a mug my way. Dad's will. It's a mess, clauses about legacy, tied to the foundation. If I don't toe the line, it all unravels. Charities, scholarships. Kids like we were. I sipped, the bitterness grounding me. And the line? Still straight as a ruler. His laugh was wry. Worse. He left contingencies. Like, if I'm not settled by 50 married heirs, it reverts to my cousin, the golden boy who hates queers more than Dad did. The words landed like lead. Settled. Christ. Nick. You're 44, out and proud in a city that parades it. What? You gonna fake another wedding for dead man's ghost? He leaned against the counter, arms crossed, that defiant chin lifting. No. But the foundation. It's my redemption. For every kid he tried to break, including me. I can't let it go. I stood, closing the distance, hands on his hips. Then fight dirty. Contest it. Be the son he never deserved. His eyes searched mine, vulnerable. With you? Here. For starters. I kissed him, light, promising. But I've got a life in Frisco. Jamie. The gym. This us. It's a bomb waiting to drop. We dressed in silence after, the bubble popping. He drove me to JFK, hand on my thigh the whole way, classic rock low on the radio, Springsteen crooning about highways and ghosts. At the terminal, he parked illegal, pulled me into a hug that crushed the air from my lungs. Come back. Soon. I will. Lies tasted like truth in that moment. The flight west was a blur, city shrinking below like a bruise fading. Back home, Jamie tackled me at the door, all gangly limbs and gap-toothed grin. Dad, did you see the Big Apple? Bring me one. I ruffled his hair, throat tight. Bigger than that, buddy. But yeah, stories later, nights blurred, tucking him in with tales of urban jungles, training clients with extra fury, scrolling Nicholas's Instagram, philanthropy galas, him in tuxes that hid the hollows under his eyes. Texts flew, miss your laugh. Dreamt of alleys. When, 2 weeks in, the call came, Nicholas, voice edged with panic. Ty, is bad. The lawyers found addendums. Dad knew about me, about us. Back then. He had PIs tailing. The will. It names you. Says if I ever reconnect with that doc scum, it triggers a scandal dump. Photos. Tapes. Everything to bury me. My blood ran cold. Tapes? What the fuck? Us. In the car. That night after the promenade. He had eyes everywhere. A pause. Ragged breath. I can't let him win from the grave. Not again. Nick. I'm ending it. The foundation folds if I fight. Better that than dragging you down. No. The word exploded. You don't get to ghost me twice. I'm coming back. Ty. Jamie. Fuck that. We're in this. I hung up, heart slamming, and booked the red-eye. New York greeted me with sleet and spite, the kind of November chill that seeps into bones. Nicholas met me at the airport this time. No limo, just his old Jeep, scraped from storage, idling curbside. He looked wrecked, stubble shadowing his jaw, eyes bloodshot. You shouldn't have. Too bad. I climbed in, and we drove in fraught silence to his lawyer's office in the Flatiron District, a wood-paneled den smelling of cigars and old money. Elena Vasquez, the attorney, was a shark in pearls. Mid-40s, Latina fire with files stacked like ammunition. Mr. Hail, Mr. McAllister, let's cut the bullshit. The mayor was a manipulative prick. This will is a trap. Photos from '98 grainy, but damning. You two in compromising positions. Enough to tank reputations, especially with the foundation's donors. Conservative old guard. You know the type. Nicholas paled. And the contingencies? If you contest, it leaks. If you settle, marry appropriately, produce an heir, it stays buried. But the heir clause? Ironclad. No workarounds. I leaned forward, fists clenched. Bullshit. This is 2025, not the Stonewall riots. We sue. Blackmail from the grave ain't legal. Elena arched a brow. In New York, with Hale's cronies on the bench, risky. But, she slid a folder over. There's a loophole. Emotional duress. Prove the mayor coerced Nicholas back then. Threats. The academy. It voids the personal clauses. Nicholas's hand found mine under the table, squeezing. Can we win? 50-50. But it'll be war. Media circus. Skeletons dragged out. Do it, I said, before he could waver. We're done hiding. The drive to the loft was tense. sleet tapping the windshield like accusations. Inside, he poured bourbon neat, no ice, and we collapsed on the couch, his head on my shoulder. You're insane, Ty. Jamie needs you whole. He's tough. Like his old man. I tilted his chin up. And you need this fight. We both do. He kissed me then, desperate, hands roaming like he was memorizing me against loss. We made love on the rug, slow and shattering, whispers of stay and fight blending with gasps. After, tangled and spent, he traced my tattoos, the anchor on my bicep, inked post Sarah. Tell me about her. So I did, the way she'd dance in the kitchen to Motown, how she'd grill me on politics over brunch, fierce about justice. She'd like you, I finished. Said love's about showing up. Messy as hell. He smiled. Soft. She sounds like a keeper. Was. The grief hit fresh, mingled with this new ache, joy laced with terror. The next days were a whirlwind. Depositions, Elena digging for dirt on Hale skeletons, affairs, bribes, the Academy's treatments that skirted abuse laws. Nicholas threw himself in, rallying bored allies, but the strain showed sleepless nights, him pacing at 3 a.m., murmuring about, what if we lose everything? One evening, after a brutal strategy session, we escaped to Coney Island, boardwalk ghosts in winter, Ferris wheel creaking empty against the gray sky. Wind whipped off the Atlantic, sharp as memory. Remember 98? He asked, hands in pockets. We snuck hot dogs here, fed 'em to the pigeons like idiots. I grinned. You dared me to ride the cyclone blindfolded. Puked on your shoes. He laughed. Genuine, pulling me close. Best bad idea ever. We kissed there. Salt on our lips. The ocean roaring approval. For an hour, it was just us, no wills, no ghosts. But betrayal waits for no man. That night, back in the loft, my phone buzzed, Jamie, video call. His face filled the screen, tear-streaked. Dad? Auntie's sick. Hospital. She wants you. The world tilted. My sister, complication from chemo years back. Flaring now. I'm coming. But. Pack your bag. Nicholas watched. Expression crumbling. Go. Family first. Not leaving you in this shitstorm. You have to. His voice broke. I'll hold the line. But Ty. If it leaks. It won't. I kissed him fierce. This ain't goodbye. The flight was hell. Jamie's small hand in mine as we landed in Oakland fog. My sister stabilized, pneumonia. Treatable, but the scare cracked me open. Nights in her hospital room. Jamie asleep on the cot. I'd scroll news. Hale Foundation in turmoil. Son's secret past exposed? The leak hit like a gut punch. Grainy photos splashed across tabloids. Us, young and tangled in that Impala. Headlines screamed, Mayor's gay scandal. Son's forbidden love. Nicholas's face everywhere. Stoic pressers. But I saw the toll in his eyes. Calls flooded. Elena, furious, sabotage. From inside the board. Reporters at the gym door. And Nicholas. One voicemail. Voice hollow. Ty. It's out. They're coming for you too. Protect Jamie. I love you. Always. I didn't call back. Couldn't. Instead, I lawyered up West Coast, defamation suits, counters. But the damage festered, clients bailing, whispers at Jamie's school. Is your dad? You know, one night, bourbon in hand, staring at the photo from his letter, I broke. Dialed. Voicemail. Nick, it's me. Don't you dare shoulder this alone. I'm fighting. For us. No reply. Days stretched to weeks. Silence a blade. Then, the bomb. A letter from Elena. Nicholas had settled. Signed over the foundation to his cousin. Walked away clean. To protect you, she wrote. His words. Betrayal burned hotter than 99. He'd ghosted again, chosen ghosts over us. The settlement news hit like a sucker punch to an open wound. Nicholas Hale, the man who'd clawed back from his father's shadow, folding like a cheap suit. I paced the gym floor at 2 a.m., heavy bag taking the brunt, thud, 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 each swing a curse for the years wasted, the trust shattered twice over. Jamie, oblivious in his bunk bed dreams of Jurassic worlds, didn't need the storm. But me, I was adrift. Sarah's words echoing, show up, messy as hell. Morning brought clarity, sharp as shattered glass. I called Elena, voice steel. Where is he? Off-grid, she said, cautious. Dropped everything, foundation, penthouse. Last I heard, holed up in some cabin upstate, the one his mom left him. He's not well, the leak gutted him. Reporters hounding, donors fleeing, old academy buddies crawling out with testimonies. Fuck him. I grabbed keys. Address. She hesitated. He said not to. Address. Elena. Or I drive blind. The Catskills in late fall were a watercolor of decay. Leaves rotting underfoot. Mist clinging to pines like regrets. The cabin squatted off a dirt road. Weathered cedar with a sagging porch. Smoke curling lazy from the chimney. No car in the drive, but tracks in the mud said recent. I killed the engine. Boots crunching gravel. Heart a bass drum in my chest. The door creaked open before I knocked. Nicholas, gaunt in flannel and jeans, beard unkempt, eyes hollowed like he'd been hollowed out. Tie, not a question, just exhaustion. Surprise, I shouldered past, dropping my duffel inside. The place was sparse. Stone fireplace crackling, books piled haphazard, a half-empty bottle of Jack on the coffee table. Smelled of wood smoke and whiskey, the kind of isolation that screams louder than silence. He closed the door soft, leaning against it. You shouldn't be here. It's a media shitshow. Jamie is with a sitter. Tough kid. I faced him, arms crossed. What the hell? Nick? Settle? After everything. His laugh was a rasp. What choice? The photos, they're everywhere. You? Me? Young and stupid. Jamie's school? Your gym? It'd destroy him. So you run? Hide like Dad taught you. The words lashed. Unfair. But God. They needed saying. He flinched, sinking onto the couch. I protected you. Like before. Bullshit. I loomed, voice dropping. You bailed. Again. Left me to clean up the mess alone. Tears tracked his cheeks. Unheeded. I'm tired. Of fighting shadows. Dad wins, always did. The foundation? Gone. My name? Mud. What's left? You. I knelt, gripping his knees. Us. If you stop running. He cupped my face. Thumbs rough. I love you. But love's not enough when the world's rigged against it. The world's changed. I pulled him down, foreheads touching. We're proof. We talked then. Hours bleeding into dusk. Fire popping as confessions spilled. He admitted the doubts. The settlement a panic move. Elena pushing for appeal but him too broken to fight. Saw your face in those photos, he whispered. So open. So mine. Couldn't let them taint that. I shared the fallout. Clients returning tentative. Jamie's innocent questions. Why's everyone asking about you? Dad. The way Sarah's memory steadied me. She'd say you're worth the war. Night fell hard. Stars pricking the black like accusations. We ate canned soup by the hearth. Knees brushing. The ease creeping back tentative. Bed was aloft above. Ladder creaking under my weight. He followed. Hesitant. But when I pulled him close under quilts threadbare as our resolve, he melted. Kisses salt-tanged. Bodies sinking like forgotten rhythm. Morning brought snow. Fat flakes muffling the world. We shoveled the drive side by side. Breaths clouding. Laughter bubbling when a drift dumped on his head. Truce? He asked, mittened hand in mine. More than that. I tugged him inside. Plans forming. We fight together. Appeal the will. Sue the leakers. Make it right. He nodded. Fire rekindled. For the kids coming after us. The drive back was strategy. Calls to Elena. PR firms specializing in queer advocacy. By Manhattan's glow. Momentum built. Nicholas's voice steady on conference lines. Plotting countersuits against board traders. But cracks lingered. A donor's email. Venomous. Faggot heir ruins legacy. Nicholas deleted it. But I saw the flinch. Thanksgiving loomed. Jamie's flight inbound. I met him at LaGuardia. Hug bone-crushing. Missed you. Old man. His eyes. Sarah's eyes. Scanned me. You happy? Getting there. Nicholas waited curbside. Nervous in peacoat. Extending a hand. Hey, kid. I'm Nick. Your dad's. Old friend. Jamie eyed him. Then grinned. Cool beard. Like a pirate. The loft. Pre-cabin purge. Hosted our feast. Turkey thawed hasty. Pie store-bought. Jamie chattered dinosaurs. Nicholas hanging wrapped. Sharing Yale ghost stories. After dishes soaking, I found them on the balcony. Jamie pointing constellations. Nicholas naming them soft. Orion's belt, see? Hunter. Like your dad. My throat closed. This family, fractured but forging, felt like grace. The climax brewed. December 1st. Elena's urgent meet. We got M. Board minutes, Hale Sr. Ordered the PI tale. Evidence of coercion. Payoffs to the academy. Ironclad for duress claim. Nicholas's fist pumped air. We win. Settle on our terms. Foundation back. Clauses voided. But they want a gag, no public airing. I growled. No. Air it. Let the world see the monster. Tie. For every kid like us. My hand on his. Humanity over hush money. He searched my face. Then nodded. Okay. War. Press conference hit like thunder. Nicholas at the podium. Me and Jamie in the front row. My father was a great mayor, he began. Voice rock steady. But a terrible man. He tried to break me. For politics. For power. Today, we expose that. For every queer kid told to hide. To change, you're enough. Flashes popped. Questions flew. The dock worker? Romance confirmed. Nicholas glanced my way. Eyes fierce. Tyler McAllister saved me then. Saves me now. Love like that, it's the real legacy. Jamie squeezed my hand, whispering, gross, but cool. Backlash roared. Protests at City Hall. Conservative pundits foaming. Gay agenda destroys family. Threats piled. Emails. Calls. A brick through the foundation window. Nicholas hardened. But nights. He'd wake sweating. Academy nightmares clawing back. One blizzard night. Power out. Candles guttering. Conflict peaked. Jamie asleep in the guest room. We argued by the fire, me pushing expansion. Queer youth centers funded bold. Him cautious. We push too hard. We lose donors. You're scared. I accused. Pacing. Dad's ghost still whispering. He surged up, face inches from mine. And you're reckless. Jamie's here. Collateral in your crusade. The slap of truth stung. This is for him too. World he grows up in. He deflated, sinking to knees. I know. God. Ty. I know. But losing you, again, unbearable. I knelt, pulling him close. Not losing. Building. Resolution came raw. Tears. Touches. A vow whispered into skin. Together, but betrayal's shadow lingered. Christmas Eve. Echo of 98. Jamie's gift haul scattered. Eggnog spiked. My phone buzzed. Anonymous text. Photo attached. Nicholas. Post-conference. Lip bruised. Eye swelling. Caught in an alley by reporters who weren't. Message. Call off the dogs. Or next one's the kid. Hale's old muscle. Resurfacing. Panic clawed. Nicholas saw my face. Paled. What? I showed him. They're not done. His jaw set. Then neither are we. The anonymous threat hung like smoke after a fire. Choking. Invisible. But you cough it up for days. Christmas morning dawned brittle. Jamie's excitement a fragile shield. Wrapping paper flying. Nicholas playing Santa with a wink that didn't reach his eyes. To the bravest pirate I know, he said, handing Jamie a model ship, voice thick. The kid beamed, oblivious, but I caught the tremor in Nicholas's hand as he ruffled the boy's hair. We played at normal eggnog brunch, a walk in Central Park where snow muffled the city's snarl. Jamie built a fort from drifts, us defending with snowballs, laughter echoing hollow. But under it, strategy simmered. Elena on speed dial, tracing the text to a burner linked to Hale's ex-security chief. A goon named Russo, loyal to the grave and beyond. Afternoon brought the storm's heart. Russo called Nicholas direct. Voice gravel over speaker. Settle quiet, or the boy's next headline. Click. Jamie's head snapped up from his sketchpad. Who's that mean guy? Nicholas forced a smile. Nobody. Champ. Go raid the cookies. Alone. Rage unified us. We end this, I said, pacing the loft. Confront him. Record it extortion. Straight to the DA. Nicholas nodded, steel in his spine. For Jamie. For us. Dusk fell early. Streetlights blooming halos in the flurries. We left Jamie with Elena's paralegal trusted, armed with cookies and cartoons, and drove to Russo's haunt. A waterfront warehouse in Red Hook, ghosts of my dock days haunting the chain link. Snow swirled as we parked. Nicholas's grip white-knuckled on the wheel. Stay in the car, I murmured. Like hell, he grabbed my arm. Partners. Tie. The door groaned open to shadows and brine. Russo silhouetted against Hudson's black maw, bull-necked. 50s. Scar twisting his lip. Hale Jr. And the muscle. Predictable. Cut the shit, Nicholas snapped. Phone recording in his pocket. Threats? From a dead man's errand boy, Russo chuckled. Loyalty don't die. Mayor paid good, keeps paying. In memories, he stepped forward, eyes gleaming. Walk away from the appeal. Let the cousin have it. Or what? I growled, fists itching. A shadow detached, Frankie, from 98, older, meaner, switchblade in hand. Remember me, Doc Rat? Time to settle old scores. Time folded. Frankie lunged, blade whistling. I sidestepped, countering with a hook that cracked his jaw. Old instincts, honed raw. Nicholas shouted, dodging Russo's grab, but the big man backhanded him into crates. With splintering. Chaos erupted, fists flying, grunts echoing off metal beams. I tackled Frankie, knee to his gut, wrenching the knife free, cold steel skittering across concrete. For Nick, I snarled, pounding until he wheezed surrender. Across the floor, Nicholas grappled Russo, smaller but fierce, nails raking, knee to groin. The giant roared, slamming him against a pillar. Blood bloomed on Nicholas's temple, but he twisted, driving an elbow home. For every kid you broke, Russo staggered, and I charged, tackle like a linebacker, driving him down. We pinned him, breaths ragged, Nicholas cuffing his wrists with zip ties from the Jeep. Smile for the tape, asshole. Sirens wailed distant. Jamie's sitter, smart, calling it in. Cops swarmed. Elena's pull ensuring arrests. Extortion, assault, conspiracy tied neat to Hale's estate. Back at the loft. Stitches for Nicholas's gash. Ice for my knuckles. Jamie asleep unaware. We collapsed on the couch. Wine poured shaking. We did it, he whispered, head on my shoulder. Not yet, I kissed his hair. But close. January thawed the city slow. Trials unspooling like bad film. Russo flipped, testimony spilling Hale's underbelly. Payoffs, abuses, the PI's blackmail files. The appeal crushed contingencies. Foundation reclaimed, clauses ashes. Donors trickled back. Shamed by headlines, Hale legacy redeemed by son's courage, but victory's aftertaste was bittersweet. Nicholas poured into reforms, youth shelters, anti-conversion hotlines, his fire undimmed. I split time. Jim in Frisco humming remote, weeks in New York weaving U.S. tighter. Jamie adapted, calling Nicholas Uncle Nick, the three of us hiking Adirondacks, him quizzing on birds while we held hands behind. Yet conflict lingered internal. My rootlessness, his empire's pull. One April night, post-gala, Nicholas in tux. Me in jeans, we argued on the balcony. Skyline indifferent. Stay permanent, he urged. Build here. Family. Jamie's school. The gym roots. Nick. Can't uproot again. His eyes flashed hurt. Am I the uproots? Or just the regret? The words gutted. Never regret. But life's messy, Sarah taught me that. We blend, not bend. He turned away, voice small. I bent once. Can't again. Silence stretched, city humming below. I pulled him back. Raw. Then we build new. Brooklyn brownstone, space for dinosaurs, books, us. Tears wet my shirt. Yeah, yeah. Summer sealed it. Closing on the house, Victorian fixer-upper in Park Slope. Rainbow flag fluttering defiant. Jamie's room exploded Legos. Nicholas's study overflowed case files. We married quiet City Hall. Jamie ring-bearer in bow tie. Elena officiating with quips. Vows simple, found you once. Keeping you forever. But humanism's core isn't tidy bows. It's the scars that teach. Nicholas's nightmares persisted. Academy echoes. I'd hold him through whispering Brooklyn alleys. My grief for Sarah ebbed waves. Jamie's questions drawing her stories into our tapestry. Betrayals? Forged stronger. Rousseau's trial a catharsis. Frankie testifying redemption. Even the cousin conceding with a grudging toast. One dusk. Promenade walk, full circle, we paused where 98 began. Jamie raced ahead, kite soaring. Nicholas leaned into me, silver hair catching gold. Nothing made you let go. Promised that. I kissed him, skyline eternal. And this time, we fly. The end wasn't grand, no fireworks. Just quiet. Suppers laughing over spills. Nights tangled deep. Mornings with coffee and plans. America, flawed and fierce, cradled us, two men, mended by love's stubborn grace. In the city's roar, we found home, not perfect, but ours. Human, after all.